Hello again. Today we're gonna discuss a topic that we already talked about before, but we talked in a more simple way. Today we're gonna discuss what is the ego, but in a little bit more profound way. And why am I always going to this theory, and why these videos are so long, and why so many details, all that knowledge, why not go into practice? I tell you why. Because all the process of healing your life, of upgrading your life, whatever it is it an area of your relationships, or finances, wherever you live, your relation with your family, whatever you are working on. And I believe there is something to work on if you are watching this. All the key to understand, to heal all what we desire to heal, it's knowledge. It's even more than knowledge. It's consciousness. It's awareness of things. It's understanding of those things. You have to understand why your life looks how it looks, why there are things in your life that you don't accept maybe, because they are there for a reason. And you know already, you are the creator. You are the creators of your lives. Wherever your attention goes, you create it. You allow it to exist. So if there are things in your life that you want to change, that you want to get rid of, or maybe you want something more to come to your life, that means you have to understand first why it is how it is and how to change it by consciousness, by diving deep inside you and finding those things from the past that are keeping you stuck in that place. And you doing this only by getting conscious, getting aware of your own beliefs. Because beliefs, this is a key. Beliefs. Whatever we believe, we create it. Whatever we believe, we receive. We're gonna talk about the beliefs in the next lesson. The beliefs are the most important thing actually in creating, in manifesting, in healing. All what it is about, it's a belief. And it kind of interferes, the beliefs, what I'm gonna talk about in the next lesson with today's lesson, which is the ego. We're gonna dive a little bit more into the ego to finally understand what is it with this voice sometimes we call in our head, that it's only, telling us things that are supposed to make us trip or, make us fall. That's not the ego. We're going to discuss what's the ego. But first I want you to understand, to really accept the fact that the consciousness, the awareness is the key to heal anything in your life. Anything. You can ask someone, to do distance healing, to do some, healing on you through the phone or whatever. And you might expect that money will start coming into your banking account because someone did healing or put some, smoke, sage, burn some sage around you. Well, if it works for you, that's good. But in my world, it doesn't work like that. You have to really change the belief, change the thing that keeps you stuck in that moment, in that situation of your life, and then change it. Change the belief. Believe in something else, that you are someone else. Of course, all those practices, all those rituals that I mentioned right now, even burning sage, it's some sort of ritual, and it kind of works, but you have to understand why it works. And we're gonna talk about it in the next course, the advanced course, how the healing actually works. But yeah, these things, I'm not saying that it doesn't work, but you have to understand the dynamic, that it is only some sort of help, some sort of anchor for your ego to change the belief. And doing a ritual, in some way, it's action of changing a belief. But this we will keep for later. Today it's about the ego. And when I said last time that ego is some sort of like a compilation of programs, something that we've learned from our parents, from our teachers, even from our schoolmates, from media, from news, from TV in general, or radio or newspapers, whatever. All what we basically took in, like soaked in like a sponge. Okay, but that's not ego in 100%. Ego we very often perceive as something, some sort of thing in our heads, in our bodies, whatever. Something that lives there, exists there, and we kind of give it a name. We see it as some object, for example, or something like external, you know? Something that we can see, we can observe, we can, you know, and especially we can name it. Ego. And you should don't listen to your ego, kill your ego, or ego death, or all of this talking. It's not really in point. Why? Because I would say that ego, it's unconsciousness. We have consciousness and ego, unconsciousness. So what is the ego? What is unconsciousness? It's lack of consciousness, right? Like light and darkness. What is darkness? Darkness doesn't really exist. Darkness is just a lack of light. If there would be always light around us, like let's say there is sun on the sky 24/7, never disappears, we wouldn't even know about existing of the darkness. Right? We've learned about the darkness when we saw that the light disappears and creates also shadows. And we say, oh, there is light is missing, so we can call it darkness. But darkness, it's just a lack of light. In the same way we can see the ego. Ego is unconsciousness, which is just a lack of consciousness, lack of awareness. And now, why do we need the ego? Why ego is something necessary for us to function and exist on this planet. So imagine again that there is only light, right? We don't know the darkness, and the light is getting brighter and brighter and brighter and brighter to the point where we basically cannot see anything else except the light. It's so bright that you cannot see anything. That's pure consciousness. That's what people call the universal consciousness, or something that is beyond our bodies. The love, the energy of love, the consciousness. Light, just light, warm, beautiful, comfortable light. But you just see only that. Now, what happens when the light dims a bit and we start to see shadows? The objects start to create shadows. And thanks to that, thanks to those shadows, we can perceive the objects, right? We can perceive that here is a little bit more light, here is a little bit less light, so we can see the object. But if the light would be so strong, let's say in your room right now, it would just blind you, you wouldn't see anything. So the shadows, the darkness helps us to kind of navigate, right? It wouldn't be possible to see the objects, to see like in the three-dimensional way without shadows, without having a darkness. So thanks to the darkness, we can experience the world how it is, how it looks like. Okay, does it make a little bit sense right now? So unconsciousness, which is the darkness, the ego, helps us to actually exist in this realm, in this planet, and perceive things how they are. And now I will explain it even maybe a little bit more, I don't know if simple, but we will see. Probably you know about physics in general, right? About quantum physics, but you don't have to be rocket scientist to know already what scientists discovered, that everything is made of energy. Even atoms, everything is just pure energy. I'm made of energy. This table is made of energy. You are made of energy. If I would expand to the point that you could see spaces between the atoms, well, I would be invisible, but only thing that would be left between is the energy. So if everything is energy, what is it that keeps us all like together? What makes a table out of this energy? Because if table is energy, if this microphone is energy, if I am energy, what makes it a table? What makes it a microphone? What makes it, my body? What is it? Well, that's the ego, because we believe that this is a table, this is a microphone, and this is my body. Ego is some sort of, also I could say a program, but imagine that, like, I don't know if you are familiar with informatics, but let's say there is a code. There are just numbers, like the colors. Let's say every color has a number, and you have a list of those numbers, only numbers. And then you put this list, let's say, to a computer or some printer, and the printer prints a picture. You can finally see a blue sky, a person there, some grass, but in the source of it, it was just numbers. So if we will look at this, that the energy is the numbers, the printer, the machine that we put those numbers to and got a image, that's the ego. Thanks to the ego, thanks to the thing that we have been gifted to exist in this planet, we can perceive it how it is. We can touch things, we can smell things. I can sit in this shirt, on this chair that is placed on the floor of this house, that has fundaments in the ground, in the earth that is spinning in the universe. All of that is possible to perceive only thanks to the ego. Because as you know, as we know from either spirituality, thousands of years of like Buddhism, Hinduism, the people were saying about that. Spirituality and science now, that everything is energy. If not the ego, if I would just completely turned off my ego right now, I would just disappear. I would just become an energy. I would just become this light, and I would just maybe see only brightness, or I wouldn't even see. I would just be. And now, to be able to exist in this body, in this reality, I was given an ego. And you as well. That's why we can see each other. But that's also an important thing to know, that everyone's ego is different. Everyone has this different printer. Maybe I see this color or this color in completely different way that you do. But from the beginning, since I've learned that this is yellow, I call it yellow. You also see it as a yellow maybe, but in reality, what is it? Is it actually yellow? We see it like that. Do we see it in the same way? Do you think we exactly see it the same way? Same thing with people. You know, when I talk with someone, or when I talk to you, let's say you are in this room with me right now. I am talking to my version of you in my version of this room, while you are seeing your version of me, even in, let's say, your version of this room, created by your ego. And that's why miracles can happen when we start to suddenly someone changes or something changes. Something that we cannot explain with science, something shocking happened. Because we changed the belief that actually affected the ego. Ego is some sort of plastic because it's unconsciousness. When we will make unconscious conscious, we can create whatever we want in this life. We can manifest things. Again, Carl Jung, before you will make unconscious conscious, it will be running your life, and you will call it fate. Unconscious conscious. Before you will get aware of your ego, it will be doing whatever it wants. And you will be calling it as destiny or fate. That's why it's important when we start to work with the unconsciousness and we become more and more conscious, we can notice that we start to create things in our life, create situations, create people by bringing them to our life. People that we never thought we can meet. People that instead of triggering us, they will be helping us. They will be like angels. People that we will call soulmates. We will bring to our life maybe more abundance, as money, as relationships, as traveling, whatever. But this is only thanks to ourselves. We are the creators. So let it sink, let it digest a little bit. There is more and more, profound wisdom about the ego. There are unlimited layers of what you can discover about your own ego. I can give you only the tips, like just a little hints, but you have to find by yourself what is true to you and however it resonates with you. And this knowledge, to understand what is ego, is so helpful. It's a key to start manifesting things in your life. But be gentle with yourself and don't try to force yourself to understand it. Meditate with it. Take it gentle, but give it time. Because to finally understand and experience those things, because what I'm talking to you about right now, it's not from something that I've read. Of course, I've heard about it before, but I never understood it. I could repeat it, I could remember it, if I would hear it, for example, from Eckhart Tolle or from David Hawkins, but I wouldn't grasp it in this kind of experiential way. But I've experienced it on my path as some kind of download, some sort of epiphany. I started to realize more and more about ego, what it is in reality, how to work with it, that it's necessary for us to live here. Because as I say, if you would turn the ego right now, you would just disappear. And there are, I don't know if you believe that, but there is many stories, even from India, from yogis that were meditating so long and so hard that at some point they just vanished and only the robes left on the floor. There are stories like that. I never saw it in my life, but it would make sense if you think about it, that they basically saw through their ego in 100%. Because the unconsciousness, it's lies. Unconsciousness, the ego, it's something that is not really true. It's a limitation, but we need that limitation to be able to exist here. I call it a plant. I call it a notebook. But this is not a plant. This is not a notebook. This is energy. I call it Wojtek, myself. I call it a shirt. But this is not a shirt. This is not a body. This is energy. Pure energy, pure light. But I need this limitation. I need this lies to be able to exist here. And with the moment I will see through all of those lies, I make all of the unconsciousness conscious. I turn the light just that shines through all the darkness. There is no more darkness. So I basically disappear. I just become energy. I think that's something to digest, to take it easy. And as I say, don't rush. I can understand that this is a lot of knowledge, and you might be overwhelmed. If I would be listening to this every day, I would have to take holiday after a few videos probably. So if you're still with me, that's amazing, but take it easy. Take a break from time to time. Maybe you need to go back to some things. Maybe just to do letting go meditations for a while. And don't try to remember all of what I say, especially today. Let it in and let it out. It will unfold by itself. I'm just giving you little hints, little tips, where to look, and what to think about, for example. But the truth about all of this you will discover by yourself, because it is in you already. You are just not aware of it yet. But this will be coming up. I also thought that when I started, I also thought that these people are different, you know, like the authors of the spiritual books, that they had so many realizations. But I got to the same realizations, just understood it in my way. I would just explain it in different way. That's why I'm doing this course. Because I know I can explain things in completely different way than someone else. And you, when you will realize all of that, you will be able to explain it also in a different way. But all of that brings us all together more to the source. The more of us gets aware, we all get like a bigger picture of all of it, which can make our life more happy, joyful, and effortless. And this is what we want, right? Because that feels good. And if it feels good, that means there is a reason for it. That's the truth. Okay, thank you for this video. Thank you if you stayed with me until the end, and I will see you in the next one, talking about the beliefs, something that is a key to change, to make changes in your life.